Hello, today I would like to talk about how to manage criticism from our family, specifically when the criticism is coming from maybe older relatives. Okay, so this is challenging because there's a lot of emotions behind it. So my advice would be that you should first try to understand where it's coming from, because this is going to frame how you respond, or if you respond, or whether or not it is worth any efforts to respond. So why do I say that? The first thing is understand that maybe where is it coming from? So the first one, is it a misunderstanding? If it's a misunderstanding that maybe the person that keeps on insulting you, although it's not correct that they're doing that, maybe it's based upon an underlying misunderstanding about something and it's just continuing because it's never been corrected. So that's one thing. Second thing, is it an age thing? So or generational issue. So is it from, let's say, a family member who is 90 years old, from a different time, if you will, that has a very different perspective, that everything considered, even if you try to change their mindset, it probably won't happen. So if that's the case, then you have to take that into consideration as well. The third thing is temperament. So are you dealing with somebody that's just kind of negative? We all have members of our family that are like that no matter what's happening, they're always negative, always critical, and there's really nothing you're going to be able to do about it, and they're just critical of everything. So it's important to frame where this is coming from, so to have a better understanding, because that will decide how you react. Okay, so for example, if it's an older relative that is quite old, they may be critical of your lifestyle, for example, because you're living a more modern lifestyle than maybe what they're totally comfortable with from their perspective. So what you can do in that case is you can acknowledge that you have a difference of opinion, and you can acknowledge that they don't necessarily agree, and you can just respectfully ask to keep it there, that although you understand their criticism and you've heard their criticism and you respect their perspective, you have a different perspective, and this is the way that you are living your life, and that, you don't appreciate the criticism, if you feel that you can say that. The second thing that you can say is that if it is a misunderstanding, you can try to correct the misunderstandings. So if there is a misunderstanding, the best thing to do is just address it with the relative. So just say, you keep on referencing something. I'm really not sure what you're talking about. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Can we sit down and talk about this so I can either provide more information or I can understand better, and so maybe we can just resolve this issue, and so it doesn't happen moving forward. So every time we see each other, it doesn't seem to be the same issue that is brought up, because I think that there's been misunderstanding. Okay, and if you're dealing with a critical relative, it's a little bit difficult because it just may be their nature. But what you can do is, if you feel that there's no negative intent really, meaning they're just critical, it's just the way they are, what you can say is, when they say something that's critical, you can say, that's interesting, I never thought about it that way. Can you explain to me why you feel that way, or why you think that way? And sometimes when you call them out on it, they realize their behavior or how they're coming across, and they correct it, or they don't continue. Now, if you feel like the intent is really negative, like they're critical, they know what they're doing, and they're trying to criticize you, and there's just no way about it, and I would just say, I don't agree with you. I appreciate your opinion, but I don't agree with you. Thank you for offering your opinion, but no thank you, kind of a thing. So you can just acknowledge that they have a different opinion, acknowledge they have a criticism, you don't agree with it, and thank them for it. So why the thank you? Well, besides being polite, it ends the conversation, and it's important to end the conversation so it doesn't continue and continue. But it also indicates to the person that you're just not going to have any of this discussion while still being polite. So it's not that you're being disrespectful. It's not that you are saying you're not being emotive. You're not responding with emotions or attacking them or becoming really sensitive. You're just saying, I don't agree with this perspective. I don't agree with the criticism. I appreciate your opinion, or I respect your opinion, or I respect you because you're my relative, especially an older relative, but I don't agree, but thank you. So thank you again shows that you're being polite. You're putting on a very strong and confident face in spite of the criticism, in spite of their negative intent. You're not allowing them to have any effect on you, and hopefully that will stop the criticism from continuing moving forward. So I hope these tips have been helpful the next time you're in maybe a family reunion or a family grouping and a relative is maybe a little bit critical. Have a nice day.